The Disney Vacation Trap. Explain. Let's run it.
I want to show you something crazy. According to this survey, 45% of people at Disney used debt to pay for their trip. At first,
Not surprised. Not surprised. That's just expensive.
I thought this was their problem. Then I tried to book a trip at Disney World, and I realized there isn't just one price tag at Disney. There are hundreds of them, and that's not an accident. Disney has essentially built a system where the confusion is the product. The more over
That's insane. Between the food, tickets, everything, average typical week-long vacation is $4 to $6 grand, including all expenses. And people probably spend way more.
overwhelmed you feel, the more the mouse quietly empties your wallet. The only way to truly understand it is to
And I think I saw there was like a Disney like credit card you can take out.
fully buy into the system and potentially become a Disney adult yourself. So I went to Disney for the first time to find out for myself how a simple theme park turned into a $17 billion machine that people will visit multiple times a year and use loans with 20% interest rates to
I see all the people that go on Caleb Hammer's show, Disney Adults and all that, and they'll drop bags, bro. Like they'll be in stupid amounts of debt, and they'll go into way more debt to go to Disney.
do it.
I don't care what you do, but I'm just saying, like, why go into $4,000 to $6,000 with the debt? Like, that's crazy.
But before we get into what it's actually like at the park, you need to understand something first. Disney World isn't built for kids. Sure, there are kids there, but they're not the ones Disney is actually designing this all around. They don't have money, but Disney adults do. And Disney adults didn't just pop up out of nowhere. They were built. In the late 80s and 90s, Disney CEO Michael Eisner realized they had a problem with their park segment. The core audience was 3 to
Is that mainly millennials who are like mainly Disney adults? Like, I'm sure there's like Gen Z too, but I feel like millennials mainly grew up with Disney. See, but I guess even Gen Z did too, but I don't know if like Gen Alpha, like if you'll see many like Gen Alpha Disney adults. Gen Alpha just watches like YouTube.
10-year-olds who had no money and no control over how often they came back to the park. So Eisner launched his age decompression strategy, which is a complicated way of saying we need more teenagers and adults at the park.
In terms of spending power, and I know this is like millennials are going to have more money than Gen Z. Millennials have a total spending power around $30.2 billion, while Gen Z, $10.7 billion. That's spent on Disney.
Because they're the ones with money. Now, Eisner was credited with launching this strategy, but the next CEO, Bob Iger, is the one who really got it to work. To explain, let's take a look at this chart. In 2005, the Disney park segment was a small piece to the overall revenue. Today, it's the single largest revenue segment for the entire company, and
Like, that's so much fucking money, man.
one of the most profitable. But that didn't happen because more kids started showing up. It happened because of 3 major acquisitions. In 2006, Disney bought Pixar. In 2009, they bought Marvel. And in 2012, they bought Lucasfilm. These acquisitions didn't
What the fuck is Lucasfilm? Oh, that's for the Star Wars franchise, looks like.
more movies to make money on. They gave Disney a pipeline that could own you as a customer for your entire life. As a kid, you'll fall in love with Mickey Mouse. Around 10, you'll move into the Pixar world. At 12, you'll move on to Marvel. And by your 20s, you're a lifelong Star Wars fan
Dude, that's actually smart.
and spending most of your money at Galaxy's Edge. Because Disney doesn't want your money once.
Because from what I said, like, is Gen Alpha gonna be Disney adults? It's like, shit, maybe. Because it's not just, like, Disney, what you think of, like, the kids show. It's, like, all these other franchises.
They want it from the time you're born to the time you die. But here's what I didn't expect when I first started looking into this. Most of the rides at Disney World aren't based on new movies. In fact, almost everything I saw in the Magic Kingdom was based on movies that came out before I was even born. And at first, I thought that was just Disney being slow to update their parks, but it's actually the opposite. Over the last 15 years, Disney has struggled to create new IP that sticks out like the classics did. Think about it. When was the last time Disney made a movie that kids are going to remember 30 years from now in the way that we remember The Little Mermaid or Lion King, other than Frozen in 2013? So instead of betting on new franchises, they just doubled down on what already works, because the adults who grew up on these movies are the ones coming back and spending
That's what I'm saying. It's, like, mainly millennials.
the money. Meaning the rides based on the older movies isn't a flaw in the system, it is the system. Most of the people I know that went to the parks when they were kids don't even remember it. The people that do remember it are the adults. And the idea of riding rides that remind them of their childhood is what keeps them coming back. In other words, the kids are just along for the ride while the parents are the ones chasing that nostalgic feeling. And Disney knows this. which is why over the last 10 years, they've started reshaping their parks around adults. In 2012, they started serving alcohol at the Magic Kingdom for the first time, and they also launched Epcot's Drink Around the World bar crawl. And last summer, they launched an adults-only experience at Epcot for an extra $180 a person. None of these decisions were made for families with younger kids. They were made to get more adults without kids into the park. And once
Is that the numbers they're probably seeing now? Is that there's a lot less kids and it's like more adults than kids?
Disney has those adults hooked, they don't just rely on a visit once a year. Instead, they built an entire world to keep them locked in. There's the D23 Fan Club, which is Disney's official membership community. And for $100 to $350 a year, you get early access to merchandise and invites to special events. Then there's the Disney Vacation Club, which is essentially a timeshare. You're buying points up front for tens of thousands of dollars that you can then use.
It's crazy. I knew this shit was big. I didn't realize it was this massive, and they were pulling in billions of dollars a year
to book stays at
I've never been
different Disney resorts. And once you do that, you're going to keep going back to the resorts because you feel like you need to get your money's worth. But the way they pitch it is actually pretty tricky. When I was walking around the park, there were all these tables and kiosks set up to trade pins. I didn't know about the pin trading thing, but what I realized was people were stopping at the tables to find a pin they might like.
Yeah, it's like Pokemon. Pokemon's making a crazy comeback right now. Motherfuckers, dude, I'm even buying, dude, there was one time I went out and I just like bought fucking packs of Pokemon cards. I don't know what the hell it was, but there was a guy that I was with that knew all about it, and his reaction would get me all fucking hyped up. He could have been lying. I don't know, but I had a great time doing it.
That table was a Disney Vacation Club marketing stand, all designed to get people to walk up to the table, start a conversation, and then pitch them on a timeshare. So you've got a fan club that makes you feel like an insider, a timeshare that locks you into coming back, and a park designed around adults with disposable income. You see, Disney didn't just wake up one day and realize that adults would spend more money at their parks. They spent 30 years engineering it. And when I realized that,
I was gonna say, has it always been like this?
Disney has created a system designed to make you spend more than you planned. And it all starts with the hotel. There are 25 Disney-owned resorts split across 4 different tiers. You have value, moderate, deluxe, and deluxe villas. And every single one has a different price depending on what time of year you go. But the cheaper options aren't just cheaper, they're further from the parks, harder to get to, and they could make the experience worse in ways that make you wish you just paid more to begin with, which is exactly the point. For first-timers like me, I didn't want to pay for a place that I'd end up regretting, so I spent a little bit more to be closer to the park by booking at the Wilderness Lodge. After picking your hotel, you'll need to buy your park tickets because those definitely are not included in your hotel price. You'll have to decide between
Is there something you could buy that's like all inclusive though?
a one park ticket, a park hopper ticket, or a park hopper plus ticket. Then you'll need to decide how many days you want to go and if you want access to water parks too. Every choice changes the price, and the more you click, the less sure you are of what you're actually buying. Then comes the add-ons. You have your dining plans, the lightning lanes, the photo pass, the magic bands, the tours, after hours. Everything is sold separately. And remember,
Doesn't even make sense. I would think there would just be like, I mean, maybe you can do this, but I feel like it would be a pain in the ass. I feel like, wouldn't it make more sense if there's like packages that you can do?
none of these
Like tiered packages from cheapest to most expensive? I don't know.
prices are fixed. Disney uses dynamic pricing across almost everything, so what it costs today might not be what it costs tomorrow. By the time I was done trying to figure all of this out, I'd spent hours on this, and I still wasn't sure I was making the right choices. And that's the trap, because when you're overwhelmed, you do one of
Oh, yeah, so then you spend more money. Like, if you're overwhelmed and you're like, fuck this, whatever, just take my money, and you just, like, start clicking random shit.
two things. You either overspend to make sure you don't miss out, or you underspend and have a
Yeah, because if you choose the lowest one, they're going to make you feel bad. Be like, oh, if you upgrade this, then be able to get included on this, this, and this, and this, and that.
worse experience that makes you want to come back and do it the right way, because you'll know what not to do next time. Either way, Disney wins, but once you finally get to the park, that's where the real Disney magic kicks in. Here's what I realized pretty quickly. There are really only 4 things you can do at Disney World. Ride a ride, wait in line to ride a ride, eat, or shop. That's it. And when the average wait time for a ride is over an hour long, you're spending most of your day doing one of the other three. When I first got to the park, I kept getting lost, and it took me a couple of laps around the entire thing before I could figure out where I was at any given time. But the more I walked around, the more I started noticing something. Every time I wanted to step off the street to take a break or get out of the sun, I'd walk into a building thinking it was part of an attraction, but it was a gift shop. And it wasn't just those buildings. Nearly all of the rides in the park guide you directly into a gift shop on the way out. The park
Yeah, there's probably like a lot of, oh, this is limited. We need to get this before we go. So you spend so much more money.
is essentially one giant loop where you walk from line to gift shop to line to gift shop. And in between, you eat some food. But the food, at least in my experience, wasn't great, which is a tough thing to accept when you're paying premium theme park prices for it. But here's the thing that really confused
Yeah, it's the same shit at like concerts or something. Like the food sucks, but it's just really expensive. But just pay $7 for a water bottle. Got me fucked up.
me. Remember all those add-ons from the booking process? One of the biggest ones is the Lightning Lane, which is Disney's new system for skipping the line. But 20 years ago, it was completely free. Disney used to have the Fast Pass, which was a piece of paper that held your spot in line so you didn't have to stand there. It worked, people loved it, and it didn't cost anything extra. But over the years, Disney started replacing it with a paid system. Today, if you want to skip the line, you're choosing between a Lightning Lane single pass, a multi-pass, or a Premier Pass, which can cost up to $330 per person per day. And when I was booking my trip, I had no
I'd imagine they would have a credit card, be like, oh, if you get this credit card with us, you'll get 15 months interest free. So then you feel less bad about spending the money because you're like, oh, well, I'll just pay it off. But then the problem is a lot of people don't pay it off, and then they can charge the interest on the card. Then they make more money.
no idea which one I needed. I didn't know which rides I would need it for, what level of pass I wanted, or how far out I needed to get it. So I didn't buy one. But by the time I got to the park and figured out how it all worked, it was too late. The popular rides were all sold out for the day, so I had the option of either waiting in line for over an hour or just skipping the ride entirely. And that's when I realized this system isn't just expensive, it's designed to punish you for not understanding it. Because the people that do understand it, the Disney adults from earlier who have been going for years, know exactly what to buy and when to book it. And everyone else is either overpaying to figure it out or missing out because they didn't. But here's one more thing that makes all of this spending even easier to ignore. When you're in the park, you're almost never using real money. Everything runs on the Disney app or your Magic Band. You tap your wrist or scan your phone and it's done, which doesn't sting nearly.
Oh yeah, because then if you feel less bad about spending the actual money, it's like spending money with like a credit card versus like cash. Because cash, you physically feel the money leaving your hand. Card, you just fucking tap with the phone. And that's why it's even better than actually tapping with the physical card. You just tap with the phone. It doesn't even feel real.
As bad as handing over
So imagine how it feels to tap to pay with the band.
cash or swiping your credit card. All that means by the end of the day, you have no idea how much you actually spent. And for a lot of people, that's when the credit card statement hits. Which brings us back to this article. Over 45% of adults have used debt to finance their trip to Disney. Now, to be
Honestly, would have thought it would have been higher.
fair, this headline can be a little bit misleading because the average debt, according to this survey, was about $1,900, which could be something as simple as booking the trip on a credit card and paying it off the next month. But where this becomes a problem is the people who don't just go to Disney once a year. In this article, for example, a 29-year-old plans to go to Disney at least 10 times in a single year. Because
10 times? Yeah, I mean, but I guess it makes sense. If the park's that big, I guess, does it take 10 times to see everything in that park? I don't know. I haven't been. Like, damn.
quote, it just melts away some of the stress. And that's where the real issue is. When Disney stops being a vacation and becomes a coping mechanism, you stop doing the math. You just put the cost in a card and deal with it later. And Disney makes it even easier with the Disney Inspire credit card.
Yep, for sure.
Which comes with perks like a $100 credit towards your park tickets, but only after spending $200 on park tickets per year, and 200 Disney Rewards dollars, but only after spending $2,000 per year at Disney resorts or Disney cruises.
So if you spend $2,200, you get $300 back.
And the king of all the rewards is the Disney Special Financing Perk, which lets you finance your Disney trip at 0% interest for 6 months. But if you don't pay
Figured it was something like that. That'd be the only way it would make sense.
it off in the 6 months, that interest rate
Ooh, you're gonna get hit with that 30% interest rate. Hell no.
jumps to 18 to 27%, which on a $5,000 vacation becomes about $100 a month in interest.
The bank's gonna get a cut of that interest, and then Disney's also gonna get a cut of that too.
Oh, and those Disney reward dollars can only be cashed
Damn, dude, they're pulling in a bag.
in on Disney products, and you only get 1% cash back on non-Disney purchases, which just proves it's a bad deal because most bottom of the barrel cashback cards offer 2% cashback in real world dollars.
Well, because it even too, you're not just spending that on Disney. You're gonna use that credit card probably outside of Disney as well.
Not Disney dollars. But for someone who's using Disney as their escape, none of that math matters in the moment. And I think that's what people miss about this conversation. There's nothing wrong with being a Disney adult. If you love Disney and you can afford it, that's great. Go enjoy it. But when I look at what a family is spending on a single Disney trip, $5,000, $8,000, sometimes even $10,000, you could take that same money and spend a week at an all-inclusive resort in the Caribbean, or fly to Europe and actually see countries that Epcot is just pretending to be.
Yeah, but to be fair, like if a kid's watching Disney shit, like they'd rather go to Disney.
The point isn't that Disney is a bad vacation. The point is that Disney has built a system that makes it incredibly
Yeah, because I'd imagine if there's Disney adults, they're gonna show that shit to their kids, so they're gonna just be interested in that.
easy to spend money you don't have. The booking is confusing on purpose. The park is designed to funnel you into spending more. The payment system makes sure you never feel like money is leaving your wallet, and the credit card is there to catch you when the bill shows up. None of that is broken. It's working exactly as it was designed. And after going to Disney for the first time, I can appreciate the park for what it is. The park was extremely clean. The hotel was actually pretty nice. The food, not so much, but I can understand why people would want to go. That said, I personally will not be going back. I don't like crowds, I don't like standing in line, and I just prefer
Yeah, that would tweak me out. I hate large crowds. Like, I'll make an exception for some concerts, but I'm just a fucking homebody for the most part, man.
a different type of vacation. But I'm glad that I finally joined the other 80% of Americans who have been to Disney.
W video, if you like, subscribe, leave a comment, do the thing. Bye.
Got these voices in my head, I got some things will never change.